What's up guys, Lou here, back with the heavily requested comparison video. In my left hand, I've got the iPad mini, and in my right hand, the newly released Nexus 7. Let's see how these things stack up against each other.
So this is obviously a tough comparison considering the fact that the iPad mini has been on the market for so much longer than the new Nexus 7, but it is still currently more expensive as of this moment right now, and if you need a tablet for back to school, you could very well be comparing the two of them. And when I asked you guys in the Nexus 7 unboxing video if you wanted to see this comparison, many of you did, so here you have it. So let's talk a little bit about technical specifications, starting with the dimensions of each of the two devices. The iPad mini has a height of 200 millimeters. The Nexus 7 is identical at 200 millimeters as well. The width is a little bit different because these have different aspect ratios. On the iPad mini side, 134.7 millimeters, and on the Nexus 7 side, 114 millimeters. Now, depth is very similar. Yes, the iPad mini is still thinner at 7.2 mils, but the depth of the new Nexus 7 has got a lot closer to that of the iPad mini, all the way down to 8.65 millimeters. If you're holding these two devices, you pretty much feel that they're the same thinness, so there's not a huge delta there like there was with the previous generation Nexus 7. The layout and the button configuration is very similar. You've got the volume buttons on the top right-hand side of both of the two devices, but in the case of the Nexus 7, you're also going to be adding a microphone port at that location as well as your power button. It's pretty characteristic of a lot of Android devices to put the power button in this location instead of on the top. You've got the camera there, and then the only thing on the very top is your headphone jack. Now, when we move over to the iPad mini, you'll notice that it is pretty similar, like I said before, except in that case, you're going to move your power button to the top of the device instead of having it on the right-hand side. Inside each of these two devices, you have very capable processors. On the iPad mini, you have a 1 gigahertz dual-core A5 chip, and on the new Nexus 7, you have a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro. That's a lot of words. Now, the main thing here is how's this thing going to perform in real-world scenarios, not just on paper, and both of them are very capable for a number of different tablet tasks. Here you can see a physical comparison. We've made a bit of a tablet sandwich here. The new Nexus 7 on top, followed by the iPad mini below, and then the latest generation full-size Retina iPad below that. That's because we're going to talk about screens. Now, if any of you have played with the newest iPad, the Retina model, you know how beautiful that screen is to look at. Of course, it's a lot bigger than the other two tablets that we're comparing in this particular video. But the iPad mini, on the other hand, not so great. In fact, it has an effective PPI of 163 pixels per inch, which is not that great in today's marketplace. It's 1024 by 768 spread across 7.9 inches of screen. And the new Nexus 7 just kills that figure. It is a slightly smaller display at 7.02 inches, but it's got 1920 by 1200, 323 pixels per inch. It's beautiful.
So in conclusion, we have two very capable tablets. The iPad mini has been on the market a little bit longer, and it's a little bit later in its product cycle. It will likely be replaced pretty soon, possibly with a Retina version. So some people are going to say in the comments that this is not exactly a fair comparison. But the reason we did this comparison is because both of these tablets are available right now. And if you're in the market for one, if you really need one, then you will possibly be comparing these two as of today. Now, the price point definitely favors the Nexus 7. This thing starts at $229, making it incredibly compelling. On top of that, you've also got this really pixel-dense screen that's beautiful to look at instead of the low-res screen on the iPad mini. In terms of form factor, it's kind of a toss-up. In the last video, I was saying that I really do enjoy being able to grip this thing with one hand, but then again, certain types of content display better on this particular form factor. So you need to decide for yourself which one works better. It's a slightly subjective choice when it comes to form factor. Now, as most of you know, Apple has been in the tablet game a little bit longer than Google or Android in general, and that means you have a slightly more mature app ecosystem especially for tablets. So if there's a specific app that you need, you should check each of the 2 app stores beforehand and make sure that it's gonna have what you need to get running. So in conclusion, you can't really go wrong with either of these 2 tablets, though I know most of you guys are gonna be drawn towards the Nexus 7 because it has those updated specifications and all of those pixels. That being said, some of you are always going to be in the iOS camp, and you know Apple will continue to sell a bunch of these leading up to the next release of the next version. Of course, this conversation is going to have to be reopened at that point, in which case we'll be analyzing a brand new iPad mini versus likely the same Nexus 7 that will still be on the market. As of right now, I think this is an incredible value. For $229, you can't really mess it up. I'll have links to pricing and availability on the Nexus 7 down in the description of this video, so go ahead and check that out. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this content, please remember to leave a thumbs up down below, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Later.